Say for Steve.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, why not? I felt like it was gonna be dope. Okay.
Well, we'll just call it the Black History Period.
I think we were actually live during that whole time.
All right, let me say something. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Hey.
With some people. Like, look at
in
this.
the building, man.
Yeah. Yo, I think that we may actually be possibly having 2 different live streams happening at the same time. So let's just double check that.
Oh man.
Yeah, you know we gotta get it coordinated officially.
Yeah. Very, very official. Nope.
Yeah, we good.
We're here. All right. So who is the first person here? I guess our chat and everything is just like messed up.
Oh, it is?
Very much so.
Let me see. You know, I'll be in the chat. Let me see what's going on.
Yeah, I can't see the chat on our side.
Oh.
Well, there you have it. But what's up, everybody? This is Mark Monroe, and I am accompanied by the wonderful
Jolene GC in the place to be.
But wait a minute, we actually have somebody who just came in. You just like flew on. Oh, you know what to do, rag.
Wait, can we get the whole thing?
Are we doing this right now?
This is what we doing right now.
Nah, man, no.
Listen,
Look
you know,
at this.
I got the do-rag tight. I got the flap out. You feel me? I'm in the building, man. I'm in the building.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. Who are you, brother? Who are you?
Hey, y'all know me, man. It's Tevo. You know, that's my name. But some people might call me your favorite cousin, father time. You know, some people think I'm a mentor, but I'm really not a mentor. But if you got a question, I might have an answer for you.
All right. So we actually had to align the whole squad this week. So honestly, this is going to be fun because you may actually be here with us for not 1, but 2 episodes.
Y'all might get me all week, man.
Oh, wow.
I'll be here all week.
He coming through like coffee. All right, let's do it. All right. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the chat.
Yeah,
I guess apparently the chat is like bugging out on YouTube. Maybe they are going through some type of service updates or whatever it may be. But still, if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button if you like our content, or if you want to be a part of the squad, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be in the know, because apparently there's some episodes that are coming down the pipeline, then go ahead and hit that bell, aka join the Cool Kids Club.
Facts.
All right, so there has been a lot going on today, y'all. We got a lot to talk about. I don't know what's going on in the chat, so if you are chatting, hopefully y'all can see it.
No, there's no chat.
Nah, it's tripping.
I'm getting the face.
But there is no chat. Okay,
No chat.
so what should we do, y'all? Should we try to restart it and then bring it back up, or was Google hating on our title, or?
Hey, they might be hating on the title.
Okay, so I'm getting updates that the chat is down for live, but like, is that just in general? One of the cousins let me know. Vanessa, let me know. Is that just in general, or is it something that we can remedy by just restarting?
Let's see what I can do over here on my end.
Stand by, y'all.
Nah, somebody else's chat is working and they live.
Yeah, so
it's okay.
Interesting. Well, we're still going to rock with it. So
Can you switch the things?
oh yeah, the chat works. See,
It's back. Oh, I see it. Okay, we're back in business, y'all.
I mean,
Hey.
yeah, that was weird. Wow, it's like it's just
There we
loading.
go.
So fast.
All right, so should we see who the first person was?
I mean, it's not going to be like the very first person.
Yeah, it's not gonna be the first person, but
Who does your show?
it shows. Wow, that just changed. Loud Street Glide.
Okay.
Y'all here.
I Loud Street Glide. What's up?
Hi.
Yo, y'all are gonna have to just forgive us because
We just picking up people from the airport. I'm just kidding.
No, shit,
No, like seriously, no, but for real, it's like this is like a momentous occasion.
It is.
We met this young brother right here.
Man.
No, this young blood over here.
Looking
Man.
at baby Benz and all that.
Oh God.
Oh, we should have took a picture. Well, anyway. Yo, this is a moment, okay? Let me just tell you, when you find your long lost sibling, just because of the internet,
It's a beautiful thing.
what? And then you find out he has a whole family. you know, and lived this whole life, and y'all just didn't even know it.
Oh man.
You know. And let me just tell you, like, I legit told Tevo, I was like, let me warn you right now. I was like, let me warn you right now. When I see you, I'm probably gonna cry. But I legit felt like that. Like I felt like it was just gonna be like too much. You know what I mean?
You
like,
held it together though.
Yeah.
You held it together.
But that's because I'm hella goofy. Like
Yeah.
it's all like, ah! But you know, like I did shed some thug tears, as Tevo would say. When I found out that you actually were here, you know, it's just like, oh man, like this is awesome. So I know that when we see each other in person, like at the come up, like we're all gonna be clowning too, but like I feel like I'm gonna explode. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
this is gonna be so much
I
fun.
can't wait to meet y'all.
No, we're gonna have the cookout super popping. Somebody said I need to do a stand-up. I don't really do stand-up, but I could rock a mic, you know.
Okay. All right. All right. So are we ready?
Yeah, we are. But you know, we just needed a moment.
We had a moment, like for real.
For
but,
real.
you know, there's about to be a few more moments though today, though, because the way that this whole market is set up and how it's acting.
Y'all.
Oh, okay. So you see how they're over here exhaling and everything else. So
it's wild though, and I might be standing up a little bit today. So you know, there's a lot going on. Okay, I got 80 joint electronics. You know,
I know, right? You out here.
There's just a lot going on. Ooh, buddy, I'm so sorry I didn't mean to kick you, but okay. So let me just. That is so unprofessional.
I was like, wait. I was like, what are you doing?
I'm trying to get myself situated. I'm just so happy I don't know what to do with myself.
Oh, okay. I was like, yo.
You know, like my husband, he talked to Tevo today. Did you know about that song?
I did.
He told me he was gonna teach me patois and all that. I said, yeah, I'm ready, bro.
Oh, this should be interesting. This is gonna lighten my day.
But it's so funny, like when you know somebody but you don't know them. Like you know them from the internet but you don't know them, and then you see them, you're like, hey, what's up, Tevo, man? What's up on? You know, like it's all lit, it's all love.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun.
Anyway, y'all, let's get into
Let's do it.
into the market.
All right, so let's just get some of the general stuff out of the way. So how did the markets act today? Like it's been an interesting.
Wait, I need to do my whole intro. Let me just get into my vibe.
All right, so
here we go. I already said totally.
Yeah, do your thing.
What's up, y'all? This is Jolene GC, and the place to be in this Trade Talk Tuesday. You feel me? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, you're really going.
I'll let you rock.
Today in the market, the Dow was down at negative at 22.96 points, followed by S&P 500 at negative 5.74 points. And then we got the NASDAQ coming down at negative 9.93 points. Now we're going to hop on over to sector performance. And in sector performance, you know, we like to break down how these sectors are acting or whatever. So there's 11 sectors. And we track the top 3 and we track the top bottom 3. The reason why we do that is just so you can kind of get a gauge of where the money is flowing from top to bottom, right? So we got real estate, consumer staples, and then communication services. Those are the top 3. Those 3 were green. And then for our bottom feeders who just all happen to be red, we got utilities, materials, and energy. So I want y'all to think about, like, what does that tell you? If you have real estate, consumer staples, and communication services up top, followed by utilities, materials, and energy at the bottom, tech somewhere in the middle. What does that tell you?
That's an interesting combination there.
Yeah, and like look at the news, like just start to think about like why would these sectors be performing this way? So I want you all to think about that. Then for pick performance, as you know, we have 31 what we call SIPs. Those are the come up series stock picks. And you can find those on Instagram at that come up series. Y'all, someone was saying that they couldn't find it. You got to scroll through, okay? So you just got to keep scrolling. Do this with me.
You know you got to do some work on your own at some point.
Right.
Just a little bit.
And though, you know, and honestly, those of you that have been staying out of the weeklies and don't have raggedy portfolios, your account looks like this. It just keeps going up. So you should be used to doing that, right?
Yes.
All right. So we got WWE coming in at number 1, then followed by Facebook and then Microsoft. So you can even see that when you look at the top 3, you can see that, oh, okay, communication services was in the top 3, that sector. So start correlating the sector performance with our pick performance and see, you know, what's what. Then for the bottom feeders, which were all negative, we got Zscaler, Zillow, and Roku.
Mm-hmm.
But all is not lost. Despite the market being red today, we have some but the machine's gonna have to start back
Yeah,
up.
it's going to start back up.
That's wild.
Smooth cutout.
Wow. Eliminate everything.
Well, because yours is occupying so much power. All right, we're back.
There it is.
Yeah, can you move the screen now?
All right, I'm just gonna turn it off
No, like move it like.
now.
No, I mean like this view this way.
The enemy will not let
Like
us be
switch
great,
the-
boy.
Oh, okay, so that way you can see.
Yeah, because otherwise it feels weird.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, we got premiums going. Okay, so we're back.
We're back.
As I was saying, y'all, the enemy.
Keep working overtime.
Okay.
Yo.
Aiden. All right. They're like, yeah, guess who's black? Guess who's in the dark? Okay.
Was that planned?
I don't know.
No. All right. So, sorry. So, back to what I was saying. We got Microsoft, K-Web, DHI, Hack, and Tesla coming in with 52-week highs. And, you know, we have earnings or whatever. So, we'll talk about that.
Yes.
We'll talk about these earnings.
You know I'm coming for it, so.
What was it, AMD and Microsoft?
Yes.
How did AMD do in the aftermarket? That's what I mean.
So AMD is probably just like taking a small little dip aftermarket, but I think that it's because of the fact that it's had a pretty decent run. But one of the things that I did notice when it reported, or when the news report just broke like 5 minutes before really AMD released it to the wire, we saw that there was this like huge reaction. But then again, I think that it's also the fact that, and I guess we're going to get into this a little bit later, you saw a lot of retail activity that was taking place on the other side in the aftermarket on a specific stock that we'll get into, that ultimately like kind of like started stealing a little bit of AMD's thunder. But I think that overall in the long run, when some of the smoke settles from some of these other things, I think that we're going to see AMD go for a run. And I think that we could probably be seeing that happen, if not tomorrow, later on in the week. But yeah, like the significant beat on, like, I think they're up 53% year over year in revenue. Like, that's pretty good. I mean, for AMD. So, like I said, I feel bad for Intel in more ways than one. I mean, one day it's like you get AMD's earnings, and then on the other part, you also hear about somebody's report today.
God bless.
But that's a whole nother story. And that's a whole nother situation. Oh, wait, is it on me to go through all of the earnings? I can.
I mean, I'm still trying to, I'm discombobulated right now.
All right, let me rock.
To be honest, like,
I got you.
Discombobulated.
Okay, so you had AMD report on significant beats. And so what did that look like? So their semiconductors, like their custom semi chips for PlayStation 5 and Xbox, that was huge. It was great. Don't get me wrong. They did well in desktop computers as well as graphics. That was great. But at the same time, what really shocked Wall Street probably was what they're doing in the data center market. And that is essentially taking away a lot more market share from Intel. And so I think the biggest thing that's sitting upon everybody's minds is what we're seeing take place in perspective of this 5 nanometer processing and 7 nanometer, where that's where AMD currently resides. And honestly, Intel hasn't been able to bring that down. Why does that matter? Because when we start talking about power and efficiency, when we're talking about like data centers and performance, I mean, honestly, the better that you can get, the better that you can keep up with the times, the better the performance, and the more that you keep your customers happy. And customers actually like that. When customers see that you don't have a significant plan in your foundry for making that process more efficient, then that means that essentially that, okay, hey, that they have to pay for not only the chips, but then also at the same token, they're paying for the inefficiencies in which that the chip does not provide. So thus AMD starts to become more of an attractive solution. And on top of that, they're cheaper than Intel. Now, there is this thing called a supply shortage that we're facing right now within the market, and that's happening across the entire semiconductor market. And so I think that you're going to hear that narrative across the board from everybody from Intel to AMD to NVIDIA to Qualcomm, Micron, the whole nine, you name it. But the biggest part is going to be in the sense of how is it that they plan on combating that, or what is their solution to resolving that? And will we see those supply chains get better over the second half of the year, or if not in the first half? So, okay.
And then we'll open it.
Yeah.
Steve will see it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, that does it for AMD. Should I just go directly into Microsoft?
Wait, hold up now.
Okay.
All right, so
I'm ready to rock.
SMH is my stock bag. And
Are y'all together again?
listen,
Okay.
like
right.
I said,
So Rocky Road there.
SMH knows what it is. Okay. Anyway, so and it took a little dip today.
Hold on, I don't want to block you. So I'm just gonna look up over
it
here.
did take a little dip today. What do we
He's like,
as far as
let's just let him in.
sorry y'all. This episode, I'm sorry.
This episode is like a hot mess.
It is a mess.
It is a mess.
This is like live TV mess. But we love y'all, so we gonna.
All right, come right down.
Okay, wait. Hold on, y'all.
Okay, you good? All right, go lay down.
Mix.
All right, there we go. We're good.
We're gonna make it up to you on Thursday.
No. We got a surprise for today's episode, so don't worry. We got y'all.
Well, okay. It'll balance it out, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Just rock with the natural, the natural freestyle, impromptu vibes.
Hey, this
We
is
weren't
what they
expecting-
came for.
yeah.
Well, at least you get to see that we're unscripted. But yeah, at the same token, we can still rock. Let's go.
What was my question though? I had a question about SMH.
Yeah, so you were talking about your stock bay,
Mhm.
SMH,
Mhm.
and I think it was more so in regards of the supply chain shortage.
Yes. So with the supply, thanks, Mark. So with the supply chain shortage, now we know that SMH was rocking,
Mhm.
and we already knew about the supply chain shortage. So was it already baked in? Or is we're gonna experience some new?
No, so I don't think that we're going to
entry?
experience no new lows. I think that we saw that the stock itself has been consolidating down from, I think, 96 or 98 from Intel or from AMD. I think also with the earnings beat that we did see from Intel,
Mhm.
kind of clouded a little bit of AMD's thunder, especially right before market close. So I think that honestly, that as you start to see the consolidation take place for AMD, you're going to probably start seeing more buyers step in, especially when we see some of this craziness subside within the retail market side. But I mean, honestly, price target still remains the same for AMD, and honestly, you're going to start seeing a lot more buy ratings. If not, I would probably suspect some even overweight ratings, especially when they expect a 32 or 37% growth this year in their revenue.
Mhm. I'm not really worried about AMD.
I am not.
I'm not.
Me neither.
I'm not worried.
The demand is there, though that the
Mhm.
supply is low. I mean, typically during when you get new gaming consoles anyways, you're already having demand shortage or you're having supply shortages. It just happens to be that also what a time to be alive for AMD because of the fact that their graphics card unit sold out completely. If you go on your Best Buy right now and try to look for an AMD Radeon graphics card or one of the new Ryzen 9 processors or even Ryzen 7, you probably won't see it. Or if anything, the supply is limited. The same thing applies for NVIDIA. I mean, Intel, you can still find quite a few chips. So, I mean, just to put that out there. So,
What was that?
hey, I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all.
That's
So,
hilarious.
but the thing is interestingly, also as we saw this rise in cryptocurrency,
Mhm.
and I think I stated this a while back, but the rise of cryptocurrency also means that a lot of folks are buying graphics cards. They go first for AMD and then secondary is NVIDIA. Well, that caused a supply chain shortage, especially for cryptocurrency miners, taking away from those gamers. So in this next wave, you'll probably see not only cryptocurrency miners stepping in, but also, again, you'll probably see gamers being able to buy. So I think that this year is going to be completely bright for a semiconductor market.
AKA, I mean, I'm not telling you what you do with your money, but
I'm just gonna say, yo,
there was a dip today.
The future looks.
Yo, okay. So we had some other earnings.
We did.
You know, a Pacific Northwest staple.
Hey, you know, that's what we do. We produce profitable companies up here in the Pacific
We do,
Northwest.
you know, and that's why I don't understand when people don't really want to move here.
Yo.
I don't understand it.
I mean, y'all gotta do something with the climate. It's a little, man. I went to sleep with my coat on last night.
Okay, we get all 4 seasons.
And you can smell the air, but
yeah, true.
All right,
it's a nice little.
I'll double back in the summer. We'll see what's up.
Oh, now the summer, y'all. Seattle summers. For those of you that are from Seattle,
don't sleep on Seattle summers
or
springs or springtime also.
But summer hits different though.
It does,
because I mean the sun is just sparkling off the water,
and it's not humid.
The sun doesn't go down till like 10. We out here on the beach, Stewart Park, living life in traffic, hella traffic.
I think the number one, selling point is just that it's hot, but there's no humidity. So
yeah. So if you got a natural, you living your best life out here.
But in January,
it actually rains more in New York than it does in Seattle.
Exactly.
Was that shade?
No, that's just fact.
Yeah, it's just the truth. It's just.
It can't be shaded as well.
All right, I see folks, and throwing it up for.
All right, so let's move on. We're going to talk about also Microsoft.
Yes.
Microsoft had a blockbuster beat when it came to its earnings. I mean, how could you not beat? I mean, you had Xbox that was, a secondary success to Sony, but still a success. Also what they're doing in the cloud, amazing, which lets me know that honestly, if, I'm looking out for another Pacific Northwest company, but today is not their day. But honestly, shout outs to you, Microsoft. I think 32% growth. Especially during pandemic, and can they keep it going? I think so, because here's the thing about when we think about services, especially on the enterprise level, once you acquire those customers, and they get acquainted in using the service, naturally 9 times out of 10, they don't want to leave unless you do something that's so cataclysmic, especially when it comes to security and privacy. Outside of that, they're not going anywhere. If anything, they're going to lock in further. And ultimately, hey, now you built up long-term clients. So now it's just a matter of just keeping those relationships. So, kudos to Microsoft. They did it.
I don't have any Microsoft. I do have XLK. I don't have any Microsoft.
Well, it is part of the, 31 SIPs.
That it is.
Yeah, but I don't have all 31 SIPs. Because you know what? I don't need all 31 SIPs.
That's fair. All right. So those are the 2 earnings. So, but just next week, though, I think we have, or in a few days, or tomorrow.
Tomorrow we got
Tesla, we got Apple, and I think Facebook.
Yo, Apple and being able to detect the blood sugar levels through infrared sensoring. What?
That's fire.
Apple is out here.
I don't know what they got up in
here. But it's for the Series 7 though.
Hey, I'll be there.
That's
don't worry.
Right
well, if you're there, then holler. Let's get the round 2 repeat.
So I think looking forward into tomorrow's earnings. So here's the thing. A lot of times people only just focus on the EPS and the revenue. And those things are great because it lets us know exactly where they are in profitability. But each and every single company is different when it comes to what is it that every company is looking for. So for example, when we look at Facebook, everybody's looking at their subscriber growth, their daily monthly active users, and how much they've monetized per user. Those are the data points that really, really matter for Facebook alongside okay, hey, well, what about the other stuff? Like your other platforms, are you merging them together? What does the future look like? So that's Facebook. When it comes to, let's say, Apple, everybody's looking at, okay, how many iPhones have sold, which is their highest profit margin product. And then on top of that, they're really, really interested in service business growth. So really every company has its own data metrics. And of course, with Tesla, we already know how many vehicles they've delivered. So now it's just a matter of profitability. And so for all of you haters out there.
Not sponsored.
With the hat back on them?
Not sponsored at all, but
What is it? So XLY is up to what, like 18% holdings in
Yeah,
Tesla?
Tesla represents 18 or 17% in the XLY. I'm probably sure that they're going to trim it back because of the valuations. So I
Yeah.
think they're going to trim it back down to probably like 15, 16%.
That's still cool though, all that exposure.
Hey, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Amazon and Tesla next to each other.
I mean, would you not?
How could you go wrong?
I mean, well, you know, let me ask you this. If you had to go between Apple and Microsoft versus Amazon and Tesla, who you got?
Dang, that's hard.
Okay, we'll leave that alone. Well, that's for another episode.
No,
We'll
Shay
come
and
back.
Shay and I were just talking about that
Oh.
yesterday.
Shout outs to the vision.
Yeah.
Especially-
Vision?
Especially if you're talking about what will be.
Right.
Oh, well, then that's just not fair.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, that's not fair.
Feeling a little
You got the
pressure.
everything store in the company that's literally going to save the world
Mhm.
versus the company that literally does everything in the data sphere in cloud space as well as productivity, and then also the one that's going to like literally make devices that you never thought that you could live without.
That's tough.
Yeah, we'll save that for a whole other episode.
It sounds like one though, doesn't it?
It does.
I like that.
We'll play a game, Would You Rather?
Ooh. With the argument behind it.
I mean, hey, if you
I'm always ready for the smoke.
nah, man, this is fire here, not smoke.
You said fire, not smoke.
Okay, so what's next? What you got for us? Because literally this is impromptu. So
Well, I did. Someone, I think it was Sergio actually, who had a question.
okay.
He was asking, about if Ford was a good play to get into, or like what he should consider if he was looking at Ford, like based on their Rivian exposure.
Yes. So here's what to look for when we're looking at, like, let's say any of the other auto manufacturers. Rivian, I think that every company out there should be scared. I mean, especially the biggest thing that you got right now is that Rivian's not public. They haven't released any of the vehicles yet. But keep in mind, the top selling vehicle or top selling truck happens to be Ford with the Ford F-150. So keep that in mind. Another thing, especially if they're planning on going electric, then that's just pretty much an easy upgrade for them. And then on top of that, you got GM with, a million of their different vehicles that are coming out. So you really have to look at it in the landscape of like, okay, hey, really playing who's going to be able to hold on to what market share. And honestly, it's going to look a little bit interesting as it pertains to who comes first and who comes first with what. I think that, we've heard about Ford F-150s electric. They haven't really come out publicly to share that information with people. So Ford, if you're there, some inquiring minds would like to know what you got planned. So I think in moving forward, I think that Ford was one of the top companies that was picked on, I think, amongst Robinhood traders last year. I don't know why. It'd be interesting to see if any of these auto manufacturers are planning to go direct to consumer, because if they're still planning on, relying on that system of going through dealerships, then honestly, you're screwed.
You can't do that in these post-COVID times.
Well, some people still believe so.
Well, funny fact, when I opened up my Doe account, you get one free stock.
Mm-hmm. Was it Ford?
It was Ford. It was Ford at $4.
They give me GE.
You got GE, I got Ford, and now it was at $4, and now it is a little over $11.
By the way, shout outs to you, Vic, because I hear that Victor Jones is watching us today. So
What's
what's
up?
when strangers and cousins meet. I hear that we may actually have we actually may have a dinner invite with the folks from Doe in February.
What they cooking?
I don't know.
Is it vegan? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
By the way, I think we're about to break a viewership record.
Oh, is that lit?
Hey, Tevo. You.
Oh,
okay. Tevo is famous, y'all.
Then
We were walking outside, and someone's like, "Oh, is that
chill.
Tevo?"
Never in life did that.
I'm just kidding. But
Hey, tell them come through, and everybody hit the like button too, man.
What are we? Yeah, I never be paying attention.
Manipulate them algorithms.
Oh my gosh! Oh, great segue! Great segue!
Yo, this GameStop. Yo, okay, so
okay.
the GameStop, y'all. I know you guys been asking questions about it. It is going bananas. I need to check. I think it was at like 2 something in
Man, it's
the
going crazy.
aftermarket.
God bless.
Yo, this ain't for y'all. It ain't for me either. Like, I'm not stepping into this war between, retail and institutional investors, doing all this. But I was looking at it, and also I saw some cousins experiencing FOMO. I'm not going to call you out. I'm not going to call you out. That's why I had like some very light goon hand energy. You notice it was a lace glove if you saw the Instagram. Just something delicate. Just like a little tap. Like, just a reminder. I didn't go full leather. However, okay, let's talk about like this whole short sale. So with dang, that's loud.
Wow.
That was so Mark's preparing to sip. Okay, so this is basically short selling, like a short squeeze. It's pretty much like buying something like with margin. Okay, so it's like you're borrowing shares at X amount, whatever the current price is, from someone, right? And then you're looking to sell them at a lower price to make your profit, and then eventually you have an agreement to sell the shares back to the person that lent you the shares. And the whole idea is that you make a profit, and you do that at a certain amount of time. However, if it doesn't go your way, and you still in that thing,
now you're on the hook to have to buy it.
You are gonna have to buy it, and that's how you can end up spending more money than putting it in. So it's like one of those things where there's all these. I won't call them booby traps, but low key they are.
So there's this person on here that's been like posting every like 5 minutes in our chat talking about how's that put game, Mark. I'm gonna let you know.
Talk about it.
Yo, I am still just fine.
How come you didn't offer me one of those? I actually like those.
Oh really? I'm sorry. Well, I didn't know. I thought you were with the other team, lacrosse. Okay.
Don't be spilling that.
All right. So when we think about short squeezes, because we definitely see like the folks from a specific subreddit group, and honestly, it brings up a certain type of conversation. And so essentially you're seeing short sellers being squeezed out right now. Now it's in the short term. So essentially, you have to ask yourself this: when it gets time for earnings and everything else, where the truth has to start coming out, can GameStop really prove that it meets at those levels of valuations? No. And on top of that, you have to think about it like this: who are the main bigger holders of this stock? Like, for example, the BlackRocks of the world. Now, what happens when, say, now, of course, they're enjoying it because of the portfolio, probably games that it's giving to its folks. But then to a certain point, it's like, okay, hey, do they sell at the high when they believe that it's at the high? So that way, essentially, that their goal is to protect their customers in whom which that they manage their portfolios, or they're in managed portfolio accounts. So, like, who do they protect? Do they protect, say, for example, the interests of, say, for example, the folks that want to run up a stock and say, okay, hey, we're running it up because we're trying to prove a message to Wall Street? And just for all intents and purposes, I get the point. For everybody that's out there that is saying, like, well, what's the main purpose here? When you look at hedge funds out there, a lot of hedge funds out there, when they lose, they have folks in whom which that bail them out. Like, for example, if you lose, let's say, $3 billion in a quarter or in a year, you're going to probably have you're going to probably have a new inflow of capital that's going to come through, that's going to ultimately going to bail you out. You also have, like, for example, banks in which that they can bail out when they lose. But when retail investors lose, who bails them out? Nobody. And so it's kind of like you're starting to see this divide. And, I've been in the game for 17 years doing this. And it's like, even myself, I faced this, where it's like you've had institutional money tell you that, okay, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're doing. All of this information is pretty much public. The only difference is who knows how to analyze it better. Now, it all started when I think it was Ryan Cohen. He came through and he acquired 11% of GameStop. And then from there, people were like, oh, okay, he's buying GameStop. And ultimately, GameStop in 2020 was on the verge of bankruptcy, like literally legit bankruptcy. Now, we've heard this story before. Now, a lot of folks, when they started seeing the activity like start to bubble up, they thought the same thing about Hertz. I'm not going to talk about one of these other hydrogen companies. And then on top of that, another company that, supposedly was supposed to be in film.
Hey.
I'm gonna leave that alone. All I'm going to say is that essentially, like, a lot of folks thought that they were going to suffer the same fate. Now, is that still true or is it not? I mean, the ink is still not dry yet. We don't know. But what we do know is that you're seeing this huge movement as it pertains to retail investors. And they're kind of like, this is like their way of sticking it to the man, which the man or the system happens to be institutional money. And so the question is that essentially who has the stronger point? Is it the institutional money that says, hey guys, like, we get what you're saying, we get your argument, but yet at the same token, wrong company. This company is like, and a lot of folks are saying that GameStop can ultimately rebound by going its e-commerce way. But going the e-commerce way puts you in contention with, say, for example, the Steams, the Uplays, the Origins, the so many other platforms of the world, the Sony PlayStations, the Microsofts of the world, all those different platforms that already sell their games on those platforms. So essentially, how is that going to work for GameStop? So that's the big question in which that we're looking at, in the sense of, is this going to work for the folks over there at the subreddit group? Which to a degree, they have a great point. To another degree, And then on top of that, you have other folks that are starting to step in. Like, for example, you had Chamath, who was like, okay, hey, he made a bet. And then on top of that, we don't know if Elon made a bet or not, but he definitely shouted them out in the aftermarket. And then ultimately the stock spiked. I feel like that's kind of also like a slippery slope, especially not for Chamath, but more so for Elon, because of the fact that he's already been in the news before for saying some things that were, kind of making stocks move. And in this one, it's like, okay, well, I'm just worried for Elon because of the fact that you happen to be a CEO of a publicly traded company and you went toe to toe with the SEC before, and they stripped you of your chairmanship of the board of Tesla. And honestly, I think that that's only for a short period of time, but still it just doesn't look like a good look. I mean, whether or not you have holdings or not, I mean, honestly, some folks can make the argument in saying that maybe he jumped onto the movement and Tesla's earnings is tomorrow. And then ultimately, hey, Tesla joins in on that movement, on that run up. Personally, I think that honestly, it's like, I think ultimately fundamentals will win out. I mean, we've seen these stories play out multiple times before. So I just say this, err to the side of caution. Like, honestly, know the company, know the direction. And it would be great if the person who bought in, or if somebody that represented GameStop spoke up about, like, what is GameStop's plan, and really give it out in some form of detail before earnings. So that way, essentially, a lot of folks don't get burned around the time of earnings, and then you could possibly see a fatal drop in the stock. So that's all I'm saying.
That's a good way to look at it, to protect it. Because like right now, if you just look at where GameStop is as far as like fundamentals, I mean, they're retail. Come on now, like, granted, they do sell, like used games that are hard to find, whatever, like collectibles. Okay, that's cool. And then you can get a PS5 there. Okay, that's cool. But like most of their locations are in malls, aka graveyards. Like, what is, if they can come up with a plan to share the details in something that will come close to representing that valuation, then okay, maybe we could talk, and then maybe it won't drop as much. But as far as what is trading at right now and all this hype, how are you going to go from value to momentum? Like,
that's tough.
They said anything? Like, I don't have.
No, they haven't said anything.
I haven't heard anything yet.
And inquiring minds would love to know, because I would really love to know, how is it that we justify this valuation when you were just closing down stores and ultimately on the verge of bankruptcy?
I'm saying this is not a case like where people were, trying to short Tesla. Like, Tesla's valuation matches up clearly. Look at all of the revenue streams, like the innovation, the different ways they're looking to disrupt. I mean, they're about to save the world. Okay, first of all, what is GameStop doing? So I'm not even trying to compare GameStop to Tesla, but just thinking through like the valuation piece of it. GameStop, it's almost one of those things, like, if y'all like really care about like your stock and like your reputation, especially with having new people come on to your management, then that would be a awesome opportunity, a welcome invitation to really show your leadership and vision for what could be.
Yeah. And like I said, it's just more so in the sense that, me personally, I don't like to see investors lose. That's like one of the worst feelings, to literally sit back and watch somebody, like, when you think about it, you worked hard for your money, and I get it. You're seeing this run up, And I'm just saying err to the side of caution, like, because some of you may even be in this trade. So it's just more so in the sense of always, like in trades like these, always be looking towards the exit. Like always, like it's like stepping into a room that you don't know anybody. And honestly, the company that's there doesn't seem like it seems like you're erring to the side of caution where it's just like, maybe I need to like, be a little bit more reserved. And when you find yourself in that type of situation, like I said, you always know where the exits are. And in this situation, know where the door is for you to exit stage right. Do not be the last one at the party.
No.
So, and a lot of times you find investors in this because of the fact that they are going to have significant run-ups and everything else. And congratulations, if you've been in this position, if you've been in this trade, and you got the percentage gains, kudos to you. Dope. Take the win. Like that's what it's about. It's not about being greedy. I mean, for every now and then a broken clock works twice a day, and we're giving a shout out to the running up Randys of the world.
So
Randy blow the bag Betty's what they call
blow the bag Betty and running up Randy getting a shout out.
Yeah, they got it right. So ultimately, for now, when it comes to the stock movement and where it's gone, I mean, I have to give it credit to where it's due. But the question is, everything that has a beginning has an end.
It does. But let's talk about, what this landscape is looking like for a future for like gaming and like virtual.
So for those of you that don't know, or if you may not know, so our wonderful people over there at ARC came out with an amazing document called their big ideas. And maybe some of you may have, possibly seen it. So, but we wanted to give you some of the things in which, and we may actually go through this, big ideas segment just to do some breakdowns and just to give you some understanding and thought. So today we felt like it was very fitting just to look at virtual worlds. So that's one of the things that is within their document of, let's say, we're going to go into read mode. So it's a very good read. It's a very good read. And the folks at ARC, they do a very good job when it comes to their research and everything else. So, I mean, honestly, I'm a huge fan of it because of the fact that there's a lot of thought process behind it in detail. So I'm going to just take you through a little bit about what we see when we say virtual worlds. So when we think about virtual worlds, we think about video games, augmented reality, and virtual reality. Now, when we think about virtual worlds, they say computer simulated. So pretty much like VR, if you have the glasses on, whether it's Oculus or somebody else, Oculus is pretty much well known for its VR environments. Of course, you have Microsoft for its mixed reality, which is their HoloLens, but mostly not for consumers, more so for like contract like Department of Defense and military, as well as health. And then on top of that, you have augmented reality, which you're starting to see quite a few players step into the space. Originally, the platform got started through like Google AR, and then on top of that, Apple's AR kit, in which that is built upon their platforms. And on top of that, mostly you do it through your phones. You see some pretty cool things. One of the most prevalent AR things that like really captured a lot of folks' attention was Pokemon Go, which was interesting because you would see like a bunch of people like crowded into one place with their phones, with their battery packs connected to their phones, so that way they don't lose battery trying to catch a Pokemon in augmented reality on the street. There was even people who walked out on the street.
It was
Right.
So, but now we're moving into a stage now where we're starting to see some growth, and we're starting to see what augmented reality and what virtual reality can do. And of course, it's like with the world of gaming and how that's really starting to evolve, we see that there's a lot of opportunity and upswing there. So here's what the folks at ARC had mentioned. When they talk about video game monetization shifting to virtual goods, I mean, think back with me if you can. I mean, if you think about it, like it mostly started within the revenue from premium games, where it's like your average game would cost about $50 to $60 per title. And then about 20% of that was from in-game purchases, AKA DLCs, downloadable content. And then we started seeing this thing where in-app purchases, like the microtransactions, became a significant thing. And if you notice, then the revenue share went from 2010 to 2015, just within 5 years. It was a 50-50 split. Now you're starting to see in 2020, 75% of all games revenue is from in-app purchases. So if you think about it, look at, let's say, Fortnite or Apex Legends or, I mean, League of Legends. And, I don't play these games, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're dope. And then on top of that, for the Call of Duty folks out there and everything else, most of those games came free, except for Call of Duty. Most of those games came to you for free. So you don't have to pay a thing in order to get those games, but they make they bring in tons of revenue just from in-app purchases. I mean, even when you think about the games like through Roblox games, I mean, think about all the in-app purchases that your kids are ultimately like taking, like, and making purchases through, your Apple or, whatever system that you're using. So it has grown significantly, and we only just see it growing even bigger. So pretty much, which means I think that the world of gaming is making a transition of not only going from like not having to pay significant exorbitant amounts of money just to buy the game title. So you're seeing, like, say, for example, subscription services that are playing out through Microsoft Game Pass, Uplay, and many other players in the game. And then on top of that, you also have a lot of freemium games in which that you get a lot of in-app purchases. And I think that that's just going to keep growing. So what they believe, and let's just do a simple breakdown. Think about it like this, where they use the cost per hour. Once upon a time, look at the trajectory of where we see newspapers, where we see the direct and then the indirect monetization, where it was pretty much almost like 60-40% when we look at newspapers. And then on the far spectrum, to the far right, we see over here at podcasts, I mean, pretty much indirect. That's mostly like your advertisement and stuff like that. Now, here's the other part where we look at gaming in 2025, what they project is about plus 20%. And then look at gaming as it pertains to now, where it's like, okay, hey, the cost is ultimately starting to come down. You're also seeing that from like direct, which is like through music, because of course, I mean, you either buy music or you're paying for, the revenue comes through like subscription and stuff like that. I mean, it used to, I'm probably sure this number in music used to look a lot different when you had services like Pandora, where it's like they made a lot of money on, say, for example, their revenue freemium model. But I mean, now that world is also starting to change. So video games are becoming third places away from home, according to Art. So essentially, it's like, when you think about it, it's like they said, according to their research, the average time spent playing video games will increase from 1.1 hours per person per day to 1.5 hours during the next 5 years. That's interesting. So that when you think about how many people that there are, I mean, just to do a simple breakdown, I mean, that's a lot. And then when you think about the amount of time that they're spending playing, then that increases the chances as it pertains to in-game revenue as well. So hence the reason why you see the bull case, and then you see there's just a simple base case if it just stays on the trajectory that it's headed. Either way, it's growing. So then when we look at AR, and this is where it gets very, very interesting, because when we first started off with AR, I mean, it originated from the phone. Right. So whether it was a Google Android device or an Apple iPhone, they had, AR, like I said before. And then now you're starting to see where it's like, we're moving into a totally different trajectory. Because if we journey back, when we first started looking at AR, it's like, okay, it's kind of cool because of the fact that I can just like wave around my phone. But then there really wasn't any strong use cases for it outside of like, now they're trying to make strong use cases if you're looking at furniture to see how it looks in your house and all that other jazz. But we're moving beyond the phone. If you notice, like, look at the iterations of the phones in which that release every year. I mean, we're seeing like little small tweaks here, and ultimately it's like, camera bump here, faster storage and everything else, LiDAR sensors in the camera, faster processor, maybe a better display. But outside of that, it's like we've become quite stagnant. If you look over the trajectory of time of how much smartphones themselves have evolved, like think all the way back to the first ever iPhone to like the iPhone 12 today.
But Apple, like, see, this reminds me of when we were looking at like the Series 6 for the Apple Watches, and we started to notice that they were starting to decouple the reliance on the iPhone.
Yep.
These new wearables.
Yep.
And so it's like everything is moving away from the phone. Correct.
And so essentially they're building experiences. Like, for example, when you look at watches, the AirPods that are starting to pick up a brain of their own by having their own processor. So it only makes sense where it's like we start going into like things with augmented reality. I mean, if you ever get the chance, just imagine a world, just close your eyes for a second and just imagine a world without the internet. Like without you literally having to search the internet on your phone, but more so in the sense that you just ask AI, and it essentially gives you information that it can find from the internet, which you would normally spend like X amount of time in. It could just provide that to you. Now we're already starting to see those iterations in the early infancy stage, but ultimately we're moving beyond the internet itself. So, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. We'll have that later on, but it just lets you know that we're moving from AR smartphones. Ultimately, what's going to really take AR, augmented reality, and take it to scale will definitely be wearables and through glasses for sure. I think the biggest challenge for VR, especially when we look at it in the grand scheme of things, is definitely going to be like, when we look at it, it's definitely bringing down the cost. So I think that bringing down the cost, in which that honestly you don't have to use the console itself, the console becomes the actual VR headset or the VR like experience itself. And then essentially it's able to get data, it's able to transfer the data faster, all those things, as well as give you rich experience. And on top of that, not give people vertigo.
I'm not sold on virtual reality.
A lot of folks aren't sold.
Of having the whole experience be in virtual reality and you can't, see what's going on in the real world at the same time. Like, I just don't.
You tried it before?
Yeah, I don't like it. Like, I like it in a closed environment as like a novelty experience.
Yeah.
But I don't see any other practical applications, or I don't see why you would need everything to be VR. AR seems to me more adaptable.
Well, interesting this, like, for example, even movies will take a change, right? And I think we talked about this early on. Just imagine, like, for example, if you wanted to see an action movie, like for me, I love John Wick, but let's just say something else, like, let's say Jurassic Park.
I knew you were going to say that.
I had to give you a little something. But well, you want me to give you something else?
No, Jurassic Park is fine.
All right.
I think it's a good example.
I was going to give you like 2012 or something like that, where the
No,
world is coming to an
no.
or The Conjuring.
No,
But just imagine, like, for example, your movie experience, you actually walk through the movie. And the movie reacts to you. Like, for example, the decisions in which that you make ultimately change and alter, say, for example, the ending or the experience of the movie. Like, it's kind of like being in an escape room.
Right, but at the same time, again, that's like an experience. So to me, when you think about VR, it doesn't seem as
it's novelty.
Yeah,
it's novelty.
But AR, I can see that having real world applications.
Oh yes.
And adoption. And I see it going pretty far, even with glasses, and then ultimately wherever else they decide to
100%.
bring it to.
I think that it would be cool because we're already starting to see it in, like, say, for example, medical fields where a doctor is able to like look at the brain.
Yeah.
Like to literally diagnose and look at it in an augmented reality space, and then also like maybe even interact with it. So I think that that's where we're headed. I mean, we're already like kind of there, but I think that ultimately in getting it into a more mainstream focus, I think the biggest thing that they're gonna have to work on is really the user experience and making sure that it feels pretty much seamless, where it just feels just natural. I think that once you've done that, and it's like you found a way to impact the lives of 1 billion people within a certain span of time, then you've hit gold.
What's your personal timeline on that part?
So my personal timeline on that one, I'd probably give it about maybe, I'd say about probably 4 to 6 years, where it's really, really mainstream, where it's been widely accepted across not only just the retail experience, but also on the enterprise level. And you're already starting to see that, like, some companies are starting to attack it from different branches. Like, for example, you have Facebook, which is coming out with it. They already have their AR glasses that are out, but those are more so made for, like, businesses. Like, for example, helping with, seeing things on an engineering perspective, or even, looking at things from, like, if you're a designer, looking at things from that, like, workplace experiences. Now, one of the things that Apple is doing it from is more so probably like a consumer utility, where it becomes like, because I think they're going to also work with prescription related glasses and probably even work with insurance providers. I may be guessing here, but
I mean, they got a whole health department.
I'm just thinking, exactly. And then on top of that, you can pick up other things as it pertains to health. And I think that what they're working on is also where it's like you wouldn't even need a prescription. I think it will ultimately get to a point where it automatically corrects itself with AI. So when looking at that now, of course, looking at like autocorrect vision and stuff like that, I think that we've got a little ways to go there, but it just goes to show you, the scale of where it can go versus where it is today. And I think that, you know, the opportunity is, it is very, very bright for augmented reality. And then on top of that, if you're thinking about gaming, that creates gaming in a whole different perspective as well for somebody who still wants to be in the reality and not completely tied. And on top of that, it gets people out moving, walking around in spaces or outside in order to enjoy these experiences as well. So, yeah.
So you're gonna have good vision and you're gonna be in shape?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just a small taste of, you know, what we've kind of like seen in the grand scheme of things. And I think that that would be pretty cool. If you guys would like for us to go forth and do more dissection of the big ideas for 2021, please let us know in the comments down below, or go ahead and hit write to us on that Come Up series on Instagram. So that way, just shoot us a message and let us know, hey, great, we would love to learn more and do more dissection of the big ideas 2021. So, yeah.
Well, we're about to close, but I do have an announcement. Hold on. Oh, where did it go? Okay, so, I think you did know this, Mark, but did you all know that a group of the cousins from the event planning committee for the cookout have decided to do a campaign that highlights our history and your why, which is pretty cool. Given next month, what's next month?
Black History Month.
The best month of the year.
Right.
No, it should be more than a month though.
It's year round over here on these parts.
Yeah.
Y'all already know.
That's facts.
However,
See the color.
hello militant. But y'all, okay, so you go on the Facebook group. This is like if you are part of the Come Up Cousins, you can participate in this. Look up the hashtag Our History Your Why, and you need to submit. There's like it'll show you like what you need to do, but essentially you can connect one of your ancestors, one of your heroes, with your why. You already know who I picked, so don't even try to pick Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman's already selected. And I share a quote from Harriet Tubman and then my why. And so they'll show you how to like make a graphic for it, but they're going to start sharing those just one so that it fuels the community as far as, you know, it's one thing to know your own why, but like to know Tevo's why, to know Mark's why, to know Vanessa's why, or AJ's why, or Lily's why, or Q's why, or, you know, anybody. I mean, even Victor's why. To know what the why is and like what ancestor resonates with that. It's a pretty cool way to look at Black history tied with the future.
Yep.
So submissions are due on the holiday, otherwise known as January 29th. And you can have that, get your submissions in, look for the rules, all the way to do it. There's examples and all that. So click on that and get together what your why is. You probably already know, but then also find an ancestor who inspires you, and we will all learn more about each other on this journey for February and beyond.
I wonder which ancestor would I like, closely resemble.
I know a few.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about that offline.
We're going to go ahead and take the Omaha legend Malcolm X off the table too, since we taking Harriet off the table. We're going to take Malcolm off the table too. Just a heads up, you know.
Okay. Dang, people are already calling this, but no. But it would be really cool if y'all found some unsung heroes, you know. So we could also be, you know,
the people that are even within your community, the folks in which that, you know, they never get a medal or they never get the legendary recommendations or, you know, or the accommodations and all that other stuff. None of the accolades. It's just that they just do it because of the fact that, you know, it could be that teacher that ultimately put up with a lot of your foolishness and everything else, but told you that you can be anything that you wanted to be in this world. So, you know, those are the unsung heroes in which that we look at and say, all right, well, you know, let's celebrate these people because they deserve the flowers, because without us giving them flowers, without them, we don't exist. We would never exist. So pretty cool.
It's bigger than options.
It is. Very much so. All right, so since you're our guest of honor, I'm gonna let you go ahead and rock, man, because you ain't said much.
Wait,
so
let me get comfortable.
Yeah.
Hold up now.
I just need to.
This is not bonnet hours. Otherwise, you know, I would have went hard in the paint.
Yo, for real, for real.
Listen, man, the do-rag is tight. I don't gotta say too much. Y'all know how I keep it, man. Real consolidated, you know. But it's a lot of bull market activity going on right now, and I need y'all to keep it mellow. You gotta keep it even. You gotta act like you've been here before. Never celebrate too much. Never get down on yourself on red days. You keep it even. Stick to your strategy. Stay consolidated. You should never have to scroll through your portfolio or swipe through your portfolio. You should be able to pull it up, see it on the screen, and be comfortable with it. When it's time to execute and you find that price point on SMH, execute. Press that button. You feel me? Outside of that, man, you know.
SMH.
Listen.
Hold on, wait, time out. Like, what you talking about, Will?
Hey, like you said, it's a gym within a gym.
Oh, okay. Well, then there it is.
One thing I do want to say, because a lot of people,
keeping it 250.
Hey, always. But listen, one thing that I will say, because people did see that I was out here, and they wanted me to be the spokesperson for the cousins and just give y'all a huge thank you, because y'all are out here really, really changing lives. You know, just as us, us.
Yes.
We have been scammed. We have been taken from. We have been misled. There have been a lot of shenanigans that have gone on, COVID and pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And y'all came through the shadows, through wherever the depths of Seattle that y'all came from, and y'all really gave value to the community that will be able to pass down to my children, their children's children, and y'all are making us, quit our jobs. Like, y'all are really, it's people really out here grabbing their W-2 that they got in the mail this year to file their taxes and sliding it back across the table to their supervisor. You feel me? So
when somebody brings me a W-2,
listen. But for real though, y'all do it for the love. It's very authentic. It's very real. Y'all make it entertaining. It's never fake, phony. And I just want to say, from all of the people, that we love y'all and appreciate y'all from the bottom of our hearts. That's my soft limit for today.
Who's she boo?
Yo, no onions. Yo, Julian, like go ahead.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I just want to say, speaking of, like the whole W-2 life, I want to say that I've been thinking about this because some of it, like, there's a lot of things that's been coming up on this journey that I've been seeing. And one of those things is getting this whole definition of leisurely confused and twisted. And I'm actually going to produce a whole episode on Wealth Rituals about this, but I will say that some of y'all are thinking that leisurely just means to relax. And that's not what it is. You can look up the definition of leisurely and the two key words, freedom and time. Freedom to use your time or free time to enjoy the things you like to enjoy. Now, if it's relaxation, fine. Okay, so be it. For the lady of leisure in that phrase is synonymous with creation. Had I not had this vision of being a lady of leisure, I would not be freed up to sit here and co-create a show called The Come Up. There was no relaxation in that. And I'm noticing, shout out to cousin Chauncey, because we had a conversation about this.
Okay.
And anyway, I've just been noticing how loose, I'll say, and kind of flagrant actually, people have been with the word leisurely. It's not even about, quitting your job. Leisurely is a mindset.
Yeah.
You can be leisurely with the W-2.
Yeah.
It's about walking in your purpose and not having the things that bring you joy tied up, twisted up, intertwined with, tangled up with surviving. They're on two separate planes. So doing something for the sake of doing it because it is your purpose, or it is how you choose to serve, it is how you choose to contribute to the world, that's one thing. And then you got, creating a living on the other hand. And so I just really, I think about like the what we were talking about, Cousin Chauncey, earlier, what we were talking about was one, internalized misogyny, and how do I even put this? How, the phrase lady of leisure, you might think of, somebody just relaxing, sitting on a couch, chilling, getting massages. Now, don't get it twisted. Self-care first is very important. And I'm not talking about like the pampering. I'm talking about remaining in your like joy center and not getting knocked off your center.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this from women. And it's tough because it's one of those things that's a blind spot. I'm starting to see the blind spots as more and more people talk about what they think lady of leisure is, or just a leisure life. I'm seeing blind spots. I see it and hear it in your language. And so I'm definitely going to be more vigilant in sharing the insights of this vision, because again, it has nothing to do with relaxation. It really is about changing the world. Because the world doesn't want us to rest. The world doesn't want us to create freely and to not have to worry about money. That's not how this thing works. We're supposed to be stressed out. We're supposed to be clocking in. We're supposed to, go to school just to get a job. All those different types of things. But imagine if the script was flipped and we actually could just be here and be in our purpose, and from being yourself and being free to live a life where you are contributing and you find joy in the contribution, you wake up with a little pep in your step.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. So it has nothing to do with this vision of a lady or a identified female or whatever sitting down and not doing something. It is about coming from your feminine energy and gracefully causing change, gracefully causing transformation. I'm talking about the type of energy where your feminine radiance is so high, your masculine energy is so high that you can change the energy in a room just as soon as you step in. Where people are like, okay, that was different. Who's this young brother? Who's this young lady?
Talk about it.
Where your skin, look at this mountain on the screen, where your skin is just glistening, where it's just glowing.
I shaved, so it's
So I'm not going to say too much more because I have so much more to say, but I'm gonna put it in the episode because it really needs to be broken down, because what I'm seeing is this need to really dig in deep and chisel away all these myths, all of this oppression, all these things that you think you can't do or you think you're supposed to do, when it's not even about thinking who you should be, it's about being who you are, period. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I didn't even mean to even go that deep, but sometimes.
we gotta over here.
Hey, let the congregation say amen.
I guess.
Oh wait, they're calling a wave check on YouTube.
Oh.
They're calling a wave check.
Listen, folks really think I do this for play. Yo.
Oh, here it comes. Oh, it's getting wavy.
Listen,
It's I'm getting seasick or whatever.
Don't play with me, right?
Yo, put that away.
This is not a game.
Yo, put that away, man. Put that away.
Listen, I do not wear the do-rag for play. You feel me?
Oh man, put that away. You got me over here seasick. Get off my screen.
And shout out to the Kings of Convenience too.
Oh my God.
So that's the counterpart.
We
We had a conversation. That's the counterpart of Lady of Leisure. We got Ladies of Leisure. We got Kings of Convenience, where you are the ruler of your time.
Shout out to the Kings of Convenience.
And the investor of your dime.
Hey.
Well, I'll just say this just to finish this off. And it's like they've said some pretty epic things. And honestly, it's like I really want to just bring it all full circle. when you're living out your purpose, you realize that your purpose has nothing to do about you. Like, you know, one of the greatest, I always talk about like this book that I read called The Purpose Driven Life, and I never really made it past page 5. And the real reason why I never made it past page 5 was because it told me everything that I needed to know about my purpose in page 1. And page 1 said that your purpose has nothing to do about you. It's more so in the sense of what is it that you do, you know, for others, and which that when you're doing that and helping others, then you're truly living out your purpose. And when it's like, you'll know it because when you're doing these things to enrich the lives of other people, it makes you happy. And when you're happy, then you become passionate. And when you're passionate, then there you find purpose. And so for me, it's like, you know, like just putting it into perspective, you know, yeah, we may say, okay, hey, W2 who, and to a certain degree, we definitely mean it. But, you know, there are folks out there that are like, you know, kings of convenience and ladies of leisure, in which that honestly, they still work. But the reason why they work is because of the fact that the work that they're doing, they enjoy doing it.
And they choose it.
And they choose to. Nobody's telling them that essentially that they have to, or they never feel like they wake up and they feel like they're in bondage to the fact that, okay, hey, I have to do this, or my survival is impacted. And that's ultimately what we're really focused towards. So we don't want to beat up on anybody out there that has a job or a career in which that you're in and that you chose, and that essentially you choose to go to every day because of the fact that you just purely enjoy it. Do the things in which that bring you passion. So I just wanted to put that one out there. Second thing, we're dealing with a pretty volatile market, and especially going into earnings season. And so this is where it's like a lot of the things in which that you learned in 2020, don't let those things fall to the wayside. In 2021, we're going to be focusing not only just on the market, but this is semester 2. And in semester 2, we're taking you to a whole different level where it's just like, okay, hey, we've taught you bits and pieces of the market in which that we're going to continue to keep doing. But now it's time that we also start opening your minds up to seeing what the world looks like and how it impacts you back here on the home front, and also how it will impact your family's wealth generation. So we really hope that you buckle in, sit tight. Also, you know, you may possibly, you know, see some interesting things that may pop up pretty soon, or if not in the future. So just stay tuned. But we are really excited, and we hope to see you on Thursday for Hot Take Thursday, because I know that show is going to be
Yo, we need to bring the shade.
pretty lit. Well,
Listen.
I'm talking theatrics. I'm talking about light changes. No, I'm just kidding.
I was born in the shadows.
Oh, Lord. See, that's what I'm talking about. That type of energy.
Yeah.
Get ready.
But yeah, so if you're rocking with us, thank you. If you weren't rocking with us before, but you here now, thank you. But if you still ain't rocking with us, but you just here, then, you know, keep that same energy. But outside of that, we will see you on Thursday. Thank you for rocking with us. Until next time, I'm Mark Monroe.
I'll let you go too, please, I guess.
I mean, you know, y'all know who I am. Tevo, not a mentor. Your favorite cousin's favorite cousin.
Okay. And I'm Jolene GC, and the place to be in a place called Free. No, I'm just kidding. No, but for real, I am free.
Bars.
Okay, don't get it twisted.
I'm not a rapper. And this has been your come up. We'll see you on Thursday. Have a wonderful day. And the more you learn, the more you earn.